Well, today was loot day. You saw the label, the box. What came in the box was a chassis. It's called a dummy chassis in that there are no gears in these wheels. They just roll, and there's no drive, but it's wide open space. And I needed this because I had taken this train here, this actual PAPB unit, New York Central Passenger Alcos, on a trade. And the trade was for something else. And so I had these two engines. But when I opened this guy up, this B unit, there was no room because it also had a drive. The drive fits this entire cavity in here. So I took that chassis and set it aside, and I'm saving it for the Silver 360, right? But then all I had was the shell, so I needed a chassis. So I called up the manufacturer, American Models, Ron Batista, and we do get along. I've talked to him quite a bit. I told him what I needed, and he said, sure, I can do that. So he has sent me this bare chassis, which I needed to put this on, so that I'll now have an A and B unit, and then I'll have room to mount a controller to run these trains with. Now this controller is already accounted for in my wife's New York Central Empire Express, but I have a diesel controller inside this Alco, which is an American Freedom train. This is actually it's American Flyer, but it was built by Lionel. Now we're going to do some swapping out because I have this Proto Sound 3 diesel board in here somewhere, which is the latest and greatest in the diesel controller technology. And what I have found is it's actually a single board. It's smaller than the one I just showed you. It's newest, latest and greatest software, but the hardware is smaller. This one has that old board, which is a double stack. I think what I'm going to do is put this thinner board into the American Flyer, American Freedom train, and see if that won't give me enough room to put smoke in here. Then I'll take this big board out of here, put it in here, wire this up, and I'll use this for this Alco AP. So it's a big switcheroo, a lot of changes of wires and blah blah blah, but I think I'll end up with a really nice New York Central Alco diesel passenger set for Margaret, and I'll have the new improved American Models, American Flyer, American Freedom I should say, in this baby, and that'll be a good result. The other thing that came in the package today from this same company, American Models, are tender trucks. And the reason I like his tender trucks is they're all-wheel pickup. Every wheel picks up energy. The wheels are steel, but they're isolated by a plastic tube. So the axles push into the tube, and they have an air gap. So this can be positive and this can be negative, and it's okay. And then they have the copper pickups that goes to the wiring so that both wheels pick up. This picks up positive, this picks up negative, this picks up. So you got 8-wheel pickup, 4 positive, 4 negative in the front and the back of the tender. And currently the tender is like this for this particular Atlantic that I'm building. And part of my problem is mounting the old tenders requires a big heavy screw and blah blah blah, and I still don't have good pickups. So now what I want to do is use these tenders and adapt couplers in one direction. I only need a coupler on one end, but then it will lower the profile of this whole mechanism down to the flat floor. I think I can come up with a mechanism that will allow me to mount these and I won't have to have big nut screws and bolts and all that baloney sticking up through. So that's going to be a streamlined process on this tender that I'm going to test with. Then the last thing that just arrived from this no-name outfit, Lord knows where they come from, it has to be China. These are referred to as transistors. They are power regulators. They are used to control voltage. So they're called voltage regulators. This is what's called a heat sink. This dissipates the heat. So what I'll be doing in this exercise is bringing in voltage from the transformer, which is 15 volts in that range. And with 15 volts coming in, the little motor here only takes 5 volts and the heater can only take 9 volts. So what am I going to do? Well, the good luck is 7805 takes that 15 volts and converts it to 5 volts. Then we have the 7809, and it takes the 15 volts and converts it to 9 volts. So if I put these two devices, and how they work is the pin on the left is the input, the pin in the middle is the ground, and the pin on the right is the output. So what you have to do is connect the two left and the middle pins to track, and then you keep the right pin separate and you connect the ground and the right pin, the 5 volt to the fan motor and the 9 volt to the heater, and this package then gives you that voltage reduction and you won't overheat or wear out parts. So this is an assortment where I have different rates so I can mess around and test them out and use them on other experiments, but I'm counting on using the 5 and the 9, and I can test 10 and 12 and see if I have other applications for that. But it should be interesting, and I've ordered a batch of 9s direct, but I wanted to test the 5s on the motor and make sure that does what it's supposed to. So these would replace the this whole assembly right here with the two boards. These two voltage rectifiers, volt regulators, are variable. That means I can dial them in anything I want. Well, if I buy these transistors here that are fixed, that's the difference in the packaging. Instead of 2 of these boards in all this space taken up, I just have 2 of these components, and I don't need this whole part is gone. So I can slide this down, open this up, and mount the speaker with more room. Should be a big benefit to all of the assemblies that I put together going forward. I have one other box coming. Well, I think it's the 9 volts, so I'm not too worried about that. I have some here to test, and I will be a busy beaver today. Oh, and I'm working on this, and I did get the lights. I have a lens, and I made a new firebox. It's pretty close to final, I think. I'm going to get some white gauges printed out and stick in there for gauges, and I have a buddy who's got some brake handles who's going to send me so I can put some steam knobs, and I can turn off and on some steam pipes. I think that'll be exciting. Okay, so I built some smokes yesterday. That's just the leftovers. I don't know where I put them. Oh, they're in this bag here. Yeah, I built 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 smoke assemblies ready to go. Motors, fans. Well, I'm missing 1 fan, but I found some more last night and ordered them. So I'm going to have, I got all my adapters here. I've got the magic adapter I need for this particular engine. Needs a long adapter. If you compare these two, you can see the difference in length. Right, this is the standard. This is the one that fits this particular engine, which requires a longer mount for that adapter. So I'm working through my adapters, I'm working through my motors and stuff, and I'm busy. I'm busy. I've got this engine to fix. Keep chugging on. Margaret's engine's gutted. I got to put it back together. I got 4 or 5 projects sitting over there, and I got to gut this engine to get that board out to put it in here so I can assemble that and get it running. So I'm going to be busy for the next few days. Let's pray it doesn't rain, or maybe we pray it does. That way I don't have to do yard work. Okay, that's it for now. Later, gang.